So the thing is that most people don't have a motivation problem. They have a discipline problem. They talk about how I want this to happen. I hope that this happens. I want these numbers. I want this award. But those folks typically just are waiting till the right time. And that's the trap that a lot of us fall into. We don't feel like running things as we should. We don't feel like having conversations that would help us grow. We don't have the motivation or the discipline to engage when you're tired. So, what do we typically do? We push it off. We push it down the road. We'll do it later. Later is what kills us more than anything. Later is what stalls our growth. And if you're always waiting for later, it's going to be too late. I was talking to someone a couple weeks ago, and he was having some really long days in his career. He was providing for the family. Sports had kicked back up, having to manage, relationships, family, the whole bit. We know the world. We know what this entails and what it does. And he said, man, I just don't feel like I have the energy when I get home. I don't feel like I have the energy to show up the way that people need me to. And I said, well, what does that actually look like? What does that manifest in your world? And he said, well, I walk in, sit down, maybe get me something to drink, and I just start scrolling. Kids are around me. My wife's trying to talk to me, tell me about her day, and I just don't want to hear any of it. I just want to check out. And the thing is not because he didn't care, is because he didn't feel like showing up in that way, because he has to show up in every other way in his world. And something I realized is that he wasn't too tired to scroll. He wasn't too tired to do what he wanted. He just was tired of the expectations. He was tired of showing up. I get there. I'm sure you do as well. But the truth is, we have to show up even when we don't want to. We have to show up when we're tired. We have to show up when it would be easier to check out. Part of leading the 128 is, who are you when you're not in uniform? Who are you when you're not on the call? And what my challenge to you would be is to remind yourself of why you're doing it. Remind yourself of where you want to go. And really remind yourself of who you are. Because high performers show up regardless of the external pressures on them. Now, it doesn't mean that you're always going to be on. It doesn't mean that you're always going to feel like it. In fact, you won't. But if you commit to consistency, you commit to discipline, it is going to serve you better than if you're just waiting to feel like it. I see this in my own life. I run a lot on motivation. I do. When I'm winning, I want to keep going. When I'm losing, I want to stop. And that has hindered me more than I care to admit. So I had to commit a simple rule is when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Now, it seems elementary, but as I've mentioned before, and I'll mention again, this is not to teach you something new. It's to remind you of what you already know. If you say it, do it. If you're going to commit to it, see it through. No negotiation, no internal dialogue or debate, no moving away from the standard that you're setting, because every time you break your word to yourself, you weaken the trust that you have in yourself. And every time you weaken that trust, you are pushing yourself further and further away from where you want to go. So, what do I leave you with? Stop waiting till you feel like it. Show up with discipline, show up how you want to, and be who you say you are.